Over 3 years ago, I reviewed the 2015 MacBook Air, which was my most watched video on this channel to this day, and I'm still incredibly grateful for the success from that video. And today, I take another look at the MacBook Air line of laptops since we all thought that they would be discontinued. I at the very least did, but that's not what happened at all. Instead, Apple went ahead and they doubled down and released what is an incredibly popular option among students because of its cheaper price tag and reliability. So today, I'm excited to dive right in. For more great content just like this, just make sure to subscribe and then turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss any uploads. Also, leave a like and a comment down below with all of your thoughts on this video. And while you're at it, I always leave affiliate links down below in the description as well. But make sure that you check out Lukrembo so you can find the best deals on all of that tech that you're shopping for. It's a simple browser extension that helps you make the best purchasing decision. And lastly, don't forget to check out my merch store if you're into some monochrome clothing like everything I'm wearing right here. So with that said, links to everything down below. And let's go ahead and begin with an unboxing. First, we're going to cut through the plastic to access the box. We will lift up the box and you will find the MacBook Air right on top. Lift it up, peel off the wrapping, and set it aside to look at the instructions and the power brick along with the USB-C cable. In typical Apple fashion, this is a pretty nice unboxing. And the exterior design consists of this aluminum unibody construction that feels very sturdy and quite nice in hand. This laptop is very thin, thinner than the previous MacBook Air models and definitely quite thinner than any MacBook Pro so far. And this laptop is clearly designed for portability and it definitely shows. You will find a headphone jack on the right and 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports on the left. And this laptop features one of the most anticipated changes we wanted from the MacBook Air, and that was an actually good display. Here we've got a 13.3-inch 2560 by 1600 Retina display that looks incredibly beautiful, and the colors look great, and the image is very sharp on it too. I'm very comfortable doing color-sensitive work on it, though I've noticed that the screen doesn't really get all that bright, which is surprising considering the other upgrades that we have seen on other MacBooks, but I suppose some compromises had to be made. Now the keyboard here is pretty good, but I was one of the very few people that actually preferred the butterfly switches over the scissor switches, which is what we have now. So on this keyboard, there is a good compromise where we actually get the same diameter for the keys, so they are about the same size as they were on like 2016 MacBook Pro models, for instance, but the amount of travel is greater for sure, and the keys are just much more reliable. They're going to last you longer and the butterfly switches did have a lot of issues by themselves as much as I liked how they felt for typing. And needless to say, the typing experience is really great and it's very easy to pick up speed when you first start typing on it. I very much like it for typing out my scripts and things of the like. And the trackpad is also pretty fantastic in and of itself. I love the size, I love the feeling, and the haptic feedback is just as precise as expected, and gestures work perfectly on this as well. I really don't have any complaints here either. The webcam, however, is still terrible. I have the Elgato key light in a giant softbox right next to me, and the image is still incredibly grainy. I'm very sad to say, this still isn't a great option for video chatting or conference calls in general. It's a massive miss for me here. The speakers, however, are pretty good, and here we've actually got a dual speaker combo that produces a good amount of bass and gets pretty loud too. So, have a listen. The HyperX Quadcast is one of the microphones I've been wanting to test out and review on this channel the most of any other USB mic I've gotten my hands on. I've always thought it looked pretty cool and wondered how it would compete against the likes of the Blue Yeti, Amazon Basics Pro Mic, Fifine K678, and the Elgato Wave series of microphones. And in terms of specs, this laptop features an Intel Core i5. This is a quad-core CPU running at 1.4 GHz. This doesn't make any sense to me. Yes, it can turbo all the way up to 3.4 GHz, which is nice, but at its base, its clock speed is very low. Anyway, it's also got integrated graphics rather than dedicated, but that is expected. You've also got 8 gigs of RAM on this model and 512 gigs of SSD storage, but it does vary per model. And this is the mid-range model, which comes in at around $1,250. And well, other than the disappointing spec sheet, you can rest assured that when it comes to productivity, you will still get decent performance. I'm not a Final Cut editor or a Premiere Pro editor by any means, not anymore at least. So I actually used DaVinci Resolve 16 and was surprised with the timeline performance while editing 4K video. Eventually, it does get bogged down for sure, but I can do some pretty basic edits even in 4K on this machine. And it's fair enough, but I would not get this laptop for video editing ever. And in terms of gaming performance, that was very much a miss for me here too. I tried playing CSGO at first, but it simply wasn't working properly on this laptop for some reason, so instead I just went on the Google Chrome browser and I fired up Stadia. And if you have a pretty good internet connection, then you can play some awesome AAA titles at a decent frame rate here. Gaming has changed quite a bit since 2017, and this one change is really that helps this MacBook. The MacBook Air is what really makes it capable of playing this type of games in the first place, so that is honestly pretty cool. I never thought I would see a feature like that. And you also got pretty great battery life with this laptop. And with some light work and browsing online, I can get this laptop to last me maybe around 10 hours very comfortably. Not that I'm ever doing just that for 10 hours straight, but I would consider that an adequate total for my calculations of just using it over long periods of time. And if you're doing heavier tasks on this laptop, then definitely do expect it to drop by less than half easily. And now, I do have some issues with this laptop still. The screen is fine in terms of brightness, but outdoors, it gets overwhelmed a little easily if it's bright outside. Don't love that. And the CPU is underclocked a lot, and it definitely affects performance. Even with the boost clock, I feel like for performance alone, this laptop simply isn't worth it. There are much better options in that regard. Now the webcam is still pretty terrible. This needs to improve moving forward, seriously. While it's not titled the MacBook Pro, it's still used as a machine for professional usage. Now the target audience is not gamers or streamers. The target audience would be students or journalists or writers, and that type of audience are just like people who need to do a lot of video conferencing. And if that is you, maybe the MacBook Air isn't for you. And in conclusion, they have improved a lot of these issues since 2015. When the last MacBook Air we expected to see came out, and in 2017 when I actually got my hands on it and reviewed it. Now we do have a quad-core CPU that isn't powerful by any means, but miles ahead of the dual-core sadness from before, and battery life is still great with a much nicer screen and amazing speakers too. I do like the MacBook Air quite a bit actually. However, just like before, I can't make it my daily driver as someone who edits a lot of videos outside of Final Cut. However, for students or others who do more tasks revolving around typing, browsing, researching, etc., even Photoshop work, because this is a beautiful screen again, this is an easy recommendation from me. It's not too expensive, and it's an option that should last you some years to come, since it is a MacBook after all, and you can expect quite a bit of support from Apple along the way, and this is coming from a Windows user. So yeah, I can recommend this MacBook Air in 2020 just fine. And if you're interested in purchasing this laptop, then I'll be making sure to leave affiliate links down to Amazon in the description. So if you end up using any of my links, I get a small commission. It helps me run things just a little bit more smoothly. And if you're looking for any kind of accessories for this MacBook Air, then again, do try to see if you can get your hands on Lustre. Links to that are going to be below. And Lustre is essentially going to help you find accessories and sales and different kinds of accessories regarding your MacBook Pro or something like that, like if you're looking for headphones or anything like that. And Lustre is going to be a super useful tool for helping you find sales on items just like that will work just fine with your MacBook Air. So don't waste any more time and make sure to download it today. And also, do make sure to follow me on Twitch if you're interested in seeing what it is like to spend the live stream with Francisco from Tech Summit. And also, make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, where I tend to post every now and then. With that said, this has been Francisco from Tech Summit. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope that this review was useful to you. Have a good one and enjoy.